The Gospel of Judas, once considered mythical until its rediscovery sometime in the 1970s. It was first translated and published into English sometime around 2006. This Coptic text was carbon dated to around 280 AD, making it written in the 3rd century. However, it was copied from an even older Greek text, possibly the original version of the Gospel of Judas, written around 130 to 150 AD, making it of the 2nd century. The Gospel of Judas has been heavily damaged due to mishandling and being stuck in a storage locker. This Gospel consists of conversations between Jesus and Judas Iscariot before Jesus' crucifixion. Now, the Gospel of Judas also displays Judas in a more neutral or positive light, and depending on one's own interpretation of the text, can even display Judas in a more negative light. Now, the Gospel of Judas, like the canonical Gospels, was also written by an unknown author. Now, in the Gospel of Judas, Judas is displayed as having a higher understanding of the teachings of Jesus compared to the rest of the disciples, being one of Jesus' greatest disciples. Now, Judas is also displayed with the task of sacrificing Jesus' body or flesh. So here, instead of Judas betraying Jesus, Jesus tasked Judas with sacrificing the flesh, so giving him away to the authorities, so giving him up, so that way he may be crucified. The Gospel of Judas was condemned by a heresy hunter and Bishop St. Irenaeus in 150 AD, making the text more than likely older than 150 AD and older than 130 AD. Now, the Gospel of Judas has Jesus being described as worshipping a different God, and the disciples struggle to comprehend this and worship a lesser being, the evil archons and the Out-of-Bay-Off, or the demiurge. And here we have Jesus sharing with the disciples knowledge of the true, high, loving, perfect God, but the disciples struggle to comprehend it. But Judas alone is able to recognize that Jesus is sent from the higher realms of Barbello or the Pleroma, and that Jesus is here to liberate humanity from the power of these evil archons and the demiurge. Now, here we have Judas being considered by Jesus to be more worthy of his message than the other disciples, and will be tasked to sacrifice his flesh upon Judas having a vision of the other disciples hating and stoning him, to where Jesus states that he will be the 13th daemon and will rule over them, meaning that he will be forgiven, and while these other people, after his time is gone, will curse his name, he'll rule over them. So he'll be the 13th god, which is interesting because in Greek, the 13th daemon or 13th god is either Zeus, who's the most powerful, or it's Dionysus, the god of wine. In regards to the 13th daemon, this can be also meaning the 13th spirit, and was later misconcepted as 13th demon. Now, the most interesting part, I believe, in the Gospel of Judas is Jesus stating to the disciples that they will corrupt his message and give rise to those who will kill in his name and will persecute the true followers of his message and those who understand his teachings, being the Gnostic Christians, and those who will persecute and kill in his name will be the Roman Church, and later would form into modern Christianity, who in turn would call the Gnostic Christians heretics, which still do today. So those who persecute the true Gnostic Christians, those who follow the teachings of Jesus and try to be Christ-like themselves. Jesus challenged the political and religious hierarchy. He challenged their authority. Now, he states that those who will kill in his name will have sex with men and will kill children. Jesus spoke of the innocence of children and protected them. So he's stating that those who will corrupt his message will be a part of the political and religious authority. So this would transform into the Roman Church that would have brothels, that would harm children, that would have orgies, and would conduct warfare in the name of Jesus. So let's go read from the Gospel of Judas and explain it. The opening text. The secret revelatory discourse that Jesus spoke with Judas Iscariot in the course of a week, 3 days before his passion. So 3 days before his crucifixion. Here we have Jesus speaking to Judas privately about the secret meanings behind his parables, the esoteric meanings of his teachings that the public were not ready and could not understand. We have in the canonical text Jesus also speaking to his disciples privately in regards to the meanings of his teachings, the secret meanings, being esoteric. Okay, so next text. The life of Jesus. When he appeared on the earth, he performed signs and great wonders for the salvation of humankind. Some walked on the path of justice, but others stumbled in their mistakes, and so the 12 disciples were called. Now, this meaning that while Jesus is here on earth, he's performing great wonders, great miracles. The salvation to humanity is knowledge of the true high God and knowledge of building a personal spiritual relationship with God through the Spirit within. So, understanding one's own divinity. So, salvation in turn, not through blind faith, but rather through spiritual knowledge, to be able to return to God, to stop the reincarnation process. So, those walking on the path of justice are the prophets, those who also spread the message of love and the message of God. So, the message of doing good, unconditional love. So, those on the path who stumble in their mistakes are the scribes and the religious authority, and also the prophets who misunderstand God and thus lead their followers in wars in the name of God. So here Jesus is being sent and the 12 disciples are called to spread the teachings of Jesus, thus the message of the true high God. So the Logos, the divine reasoning and word of God. He began to discuss with them the mysteries that transcend the world and what will happen at the end. Many a time he does not appear as himself to his disciples, but you find him as a child among them. So, meaning you find him innocent among sinners. This can also mean that Jesus is a shapeshifter, as many Gnostic Christians and many Christians believe that Jesus was not of flesh, but was of a spirit that changed forms, so to be read by a diverse audience. Now, here we have Jesus speaking about the mysteries. This is the gnosis, the mysteries that transcend this world. So, the knowledge of the true high God in the spiritual planes. So, the spiritual planes and God itself that transcends above this material world. Now, not only this, but Jesus is speaking with them knowledge that will help them transcend beyond this world, to return to God, to return to the spiritual plane, to return to the Paroma, and to be unified with God. Alright, Jesus discusses the prayer of thanksgiving. Now one day, he was with his disciples in Judea, and he happened upon them as they were assembled together, seated and practicing their piety, when he drew near to his disciples. As they were assembled together, seated and giving thanks over the bread, he laughed. The disciples said to him, Master, why are you laughing at our prayer of thanksgiving? What is it we have done? That is what is proper. So this is what is proper. He answered and said to them, I'm not laughing at you. You aren't doing this out of your own will, but because in this way your God will be praised. So he's stating that they don't do this because they want to, but in order to honour their God. So they're being taught to do this and told to do this. So here they're worshipping a lesser God. They're not honouring the true high God. Alright. They said, Master, you, bits missing, are the Son of our God. So they're stating that you're the Son of our God. So they're confused. Now, because the Gospel of Judas has been damaged, some of the text are missing, such as in this case. All right. Jesus said to them, How is it that you know me? I tell you the truth. No generation will know me among the people who are with you. So he's stating that the other followers won't understand me. None of this generation will. So meaning that this generation that Jesus lives in aren't ready to comprehend his teachings. So meaning that the generations that come after, being the Gnostic Christians and Christians in general, that understand the teachings of Jesus and thus leave behind the teachings of Yada Bayoff. So to no longer be controlled by the evil archons and this evil God, but rather to embrace the teachings of the true high God and to find the spirit within and to build a connection with the spirit within, to recognize the spirit within and to recognize that you too are divine, that you too are a child of God, that you too can become like Christ. Okay. The disciples are angry. When his disciples heard this, they began getting angry and hostile, blaspheming against him in their minds, as he's just told them that they worship the wrong God, that he's not the son of their God, but a God higher than their God, so the true high God. So now they're angry at him and blaspheming against him in their minds. So they're angry, they're disturbed as they've been challenged. They don't understand this, so they're not able to comprehend what he actually means, and they're disturbed and angry by this. So they're angry that what they believe is wrong, as Christians are today when they find out this stuff. Jesus recognizes that they did not understand, and he said to them, Why has your concern produced this hostility? Your God, who is within you, and his powers have become angry within your souls. Let any of you who is a strong enough person bring forward the perfect human being and stand before my face. So Jesus is stating that your hostility is due to this God that you worship, but rather the God within you. So this evil God and his powers has influenced you and made you angry within your very souls. So here they're not able to understand, and thus they became angry at Jesus because he challenged what they believed. So that of the unconditional believer or religious zealot becomes angry when their belief is challenged. So Jesus is stating, come before me if you are a perfect human being and you know better than me. So if you're able to put on the perfect human, so being that of humanity, then come before me. So Jesus is stating to be my equal. So stand before me as an equal of me to recognize the divinity within you. So let's continue. They all said, we are strong, but none of their spirits dared to stand before him, except Judas Iscariot. He was able to stand before him, yet he could not look him in the eye, but he turned his face away. Judas said to him, I know who you are, and from what place you have come. You have come from the immortal realm of Barbelo, and I am not worthy to pronounce the name of the one who has sent you. So Judas is saying that he's not worthy to state the name of the true high God, the Father that sent Jesus. That he recognizes that Jesus comes from the true high spiritual plane and that he was sent to bring about salvation from the evil archons and the false evil God or man-made gods. So to be read by a diverse audience. So Barbelo being the mother, father, God, the first emanation of God, being of the both masculine and feminine natures or quality of God. Now, when the disciples state to Jesus they are strong, they mean they are strong to bear Jesus. They are strong enough to follow him and to die for him. But they cannot look Jesus in the eye because they are ashamed. They're not able to comprehend or understand the teachings of their master. Judas also cannot look Jesus in the eye because he too is not able to fully comprehend or understand the teachings of Jesus. And like the other disciples, they are also concerned and they are also ashamed and also worry whose teachings are correct, the teachings of their master, Jesus, or the teachings of their ancestors and what they have been taught to believe. So they are concerned that they worship a different God to Jesus. They are concerned that they may be following someone who is leading them astray. They are also concerned that they have been told lies all their life and thus worry that they worship an evil being. So here, Jesus is stating to them, if you are the perfect human, so if you too are worthy of me, speak before me as my equal. So if you too are a child of God, if you comprehend this, or if you have knowledge that can disprove me, come before me, and none of them are able to do so. So this is the meaning of this text. So let's get to the next text. Jesus speaks privately with Judas. Jesus understood that Judas was contemplating the rest of what is lofty, and he said to him, "Move away from the others, and I shall explain to you the mysteries of the kingdom, not so that you can attain it, but you'll go through a great deal of grief. For somebody else will take your place, so that the 12 disciples may be complete once again with their God." Now, Jesus recognizes that Judas, like the other disciples, are contemplating whether Jesus is correct or the belief of their ancestors and what they've taught to believe is correct. So Jesus tells Judas to move away from them so he has a mind of his own, so that way he can share with him Gnosis, or the mysteries of heaven, of the kingdom, and of the true God. So here he's also stating that Judas is going to suffer much and he will not obtain Gnosis as a disciple, but rather someone else will take his place. So here he's stating that the disciples will be complete with their God, so done with him. So Judas will have to be replaced. He will have to suffer much. The disciples too will also have to suffer much in order to realize the Gnosis that Jesus is sharing with them. All right. Judas said to him, "When will you explain these things to me? And how will the great day of light dawn for," bits missing, "generation?" But when he said these things, Jesus departed from him. So after Judas has stated this to Jesus, Jesus left him. So he explained to him about the mysteries that are to come. Judas again asked to explain it to him as he couldn't comprehend them. So Jesus leaves. Jesus appears to the disciples again. The next day, in the morning, he appeared to his disciples. They said to him, "Master, where did you go? And what did you do when you departed from us?" Jesus said to them, "I went to a different generation, one that is great and holy." His disciples said to him, "Lord, what is this great generation that is exalted over us and is holy, but is not present in these realms?" So Jesus is talking about the realm above this realm. So the holy generation. So the souls that have reunited with God. So the spiritual plane, the pleroma. So this being the generation of spirits. So the spiritual realm. Now, this is what is above the physical plane. So the world of spirit. So Jesus has gone through meditation. He's gone within. So he's gone beyond this physical world that is limited. And the disciples are asking where he's gone. So let's continue. Alright. When Jesus heard these things, he laughed and said to them, "Why are you reflecting in your minds about the generation that is powerful and holy? I tell you the truth. No one born of this realm will behold that generation." So they're of the flesh. They won't be able to witness this spiritual plane as it's beyond the flesh. So they will only behold it when they are within it. So not of this current mindset. No angelic host of the stars will rule over that generation. No human of mortal birth will be able to accompany it, because that generation is not from, bits missing, that has come to be, more bits missing. The generation of people among you is from the generation of humanity, bits missing. Power which, more bits missing, powers, though which you rule. When his disciples heard these things, each one was troubled in spirit. They were speechless. So they're troubled because their beliefs have been challenged, contradicted. Now, Jesus is stating that this holy generation is beyond the physical realm. It's beyond the stars and the lesser gods and the planets. So the spiritual realm is beyond all things material. So it's of the spirit is the real treasure. So the treasure in the world of corruptibility. Now, Jesus is also stating that the generation of people is from the generation of humanity. So the humanity being our inner goodness, being the sons of humanity, sons of man, sons of God, the children of God. So this is our true purpose, is to be reunited with God, to enact God's goodness here on earth. So to do the will of God is to be a child of God yourself. So to be a son of God is to be adopted by God, is to be reborn. So to be in God's image, not in the image of the lower self or the animal. So to be in the image of the higher self. So to be in the image of Christ. Okay, so next text. Jesus appears yet again. On another day, Jesus approached them. They said to him, "Master, we have had a vision of you, for we have seen dreams of great power last night." He said, "Why have you," bits missing, "and hidden yourselves away?" So, meaning, why are they hiding their true intentions? Why are they hiding what they've actually seen in this dream? He knows. Tell him. Be out with it. And he can describe its meaning to them. So he can prophesize it. Okay, so let's continue. The disciples behold the temple. They said, "We have seen a huge house, in which there was a great altar, and 12 men. They were priests. We would say, and a name?" A crowd was in attendance at that altar until the priests were done presenting the offerings. We also were in attendance. Jesus said, "What kind of people are the priests?" They said, "Some abstain for 2 weeks. Some sacrifice their own children, others their wives, in praise and humility with one another. Some have sex with men, some perform acts of murder, some commit all sorts of sin and lawless deeds. And the men who stand before the altar call upon your name, and through all the actions of their deficiency, that altar becomes full." And after they said these things, they became silent, since they were upset. So they are upset and troubled by what they have seen in this vision, in this dream vision. So let's continue the text as a spoiler here. The men they are seeing are them and the priest that kill and do horrible things in the name of Jesus were those who have been led astray by the message that they corrupted, as they were not able to understand the teachings of Jesus. And they all had their own opinions and beliefs that got in the way of the teachings of their master, Jesus. Okay, Jesus offers an allegorical interpretation of the temple. So he's going to interpret their dream for them. Jesus said to them, "Why are you upset? I tell you the truth. All the priests who stand at that altar call upon my name. I tell you again, my name has been written on the bits missing of the generations of the stars. Through the generations of people, they have planted trees in my name without fruit in a shameful way." So, meaning they're doing rotten deeds and have nothing good to offer. So, those who do good bear good fruit. So, these priests are doing things in a shameful way, and they're doing acts of carnage and evil in the name of Jesus. Jesus said to them, "You are the ones presenting the offerings at the altar you have seen. That is the God you serve. And you are the 12 men you have seen. And the cattle brought in are the offerings you have seen. They are the multitude you lead astray before that altar. The ruler of this world will stand and use my name in this manner." So, the ruler of this altar is Yahweh, Yahweh, the God they serve. So, they lead astray the masses in the name of their God, not the God that Jesus served. Alright. "And the generations of pious people will cling to him. After him another man will come forward from those who are immoral. And another will come from the child killers, and another from those who have sex with men, and those who abstain, and the rest of those who are impure and lawless and prone to error, as well as those who say, 'We are like angels.' They are the stars that bring everything to its end. For to the generation of people it has been said, 'Look, God has received your offering from the hands of the priest. That is a minister of error. But it is the Lord who commands, who is the Lord of the all. On the last day they will be put to shame.' Jesus said to them, 'Stop sacrificing,' bits missing, 'that you have,' more bits missing, 'on the altar, since they are over your stars and your angels, and they have already come to their end there. So let them be,' bits missing, 'before you, and let them go,' bits missing, 'generations,' bits missing. A baker cannot feed all of creation that is under heaven." And when the disciples heard these things, they said to him, "Lord, help us, save us." Jesus said to them, "Stop disputing with me. Each of you has your own star, and everyone," bits missing, "in," more bits missing, "that has not come," more bits missing, "spring of water. For the tree of this realm," bits missing, "after a while," more bits missing, "but that one has come to provide water for the paradise of God, and the race that will endure, because that one will not defile the way of life of that generation, but," bits missing, "from eternity to eternity." Now here we have people who are doing corrupt actions, but yet saying they are like angels. So no one is perfect, but these people are claiming to be. Now, these people do acts of deception behind closed doors. Now, he's also talking about those who sacrifice. Jesus was against all forms of sacrifice. Those who sacrificed their gods were sacrificing to the man-eaters, to those gods who thirst for blood, man-made gods. Now, he's stating that after they pass on, they'll be put to shame. So meaning they'll have to reincarnate because of this shame, because they didn't discover God within. They didn't enact the will of God. To be a child of God is to be a son of humanity, is to be humanity. Now, he's saying that it's the Lord who commands all, so nothing exists outside the mind of God. So as long as we continue to act outside of God and not know God, we continue to reincarnate and we continue to be stuck in this poverty. So the altars are the gods that are all the people who are sacrificing to. So they're displaying their sins upon these altars, but in turn they're enacting on their sins, so they haven't learned. They continue to kill. They continue to do harm and lead others astray, claiming they are perfect, claiming to follow them. Now, he's saying that all these groups have their different factions. Some are child killers, some are sex with men. So he's stating that all these different factions of Christianity will do harm in the name of Jesus and in the name of God. So he's stating that they do this in the name of their God, not the God that Jesus was sent by, not by Jesus' Father, not by our true Heavenly Father. So we act outside of our own innocence. So thus, we don't look for the innocent child within us. We instead tarnish it and corrupt it. So we corrupt our souls. So Jesus is stating that they, in turn, will lead the masses astray because they were unable to understand the teachings of Jesus. Now, it also mentions that the ruler of this world will use my name. So, meaning that Yahweh, will also use the name of Christ, will use the name of Jesus, meaning Jesus will be merged into their religion. So, the sacrificial religions of the demiurge, of the archons. So not of the actual message of Christ. Okay. Jesus and Judas discussed the generations of people. Judas said to him, Rabbi, what fruit is it that this generation produces? Jesus said, the souls of all generations of people will die. When these people, however, bring the time of the kingdom to completion, and the spirit parts from them, their bodies will die, but their souls will be alive and will be taken up. So this meaning that when the individual discovers Gnosis, their flesh might die after death, but their soul is immortal. All souls are immortal, so meaning their soul will be lifted up to the pleroma and be in union with God. So this is the completion of the kingdom. So to realize heaven is within you. So completed here on earth. Once this vessel has finished or completed its cycle, it returns to the pleroma, it returns to its source. Judas said, and what will the rest of the generations of people do? Jesus said, nobody can sow seed on rock and harvest its produce. This is also how, bits missing, the defiled race and corruptible wisdom, bits missing, the hand that created mortal people and their souls ascend to the eternal realms on high. I tell you the truth, there is no authority or angel or power that will be able to behold those realms that this great holy generation will behold. After Jesus said these things, he went off. So those who have nothing good to offer are those who bear rotten fruit. So those who have nothing good to offer have no harvest. So they produce corruptible wisdom, meaning wisdom of men, not wisdom of God. So this is the defiled race, ones who don't know God, those who corrupt the teachings of God, who kill in the name of God. Now, he's also stating those who are unable to understand God or find the spirit within will continue to reincarnate. Those who understand the gnosis of Jesus' teachings and enact the will of God, who themselves become the child of God, will return to God. Now, this meaning that they will return to the spiritual realm, the eternal realm. So this realm is above the angels, it's above the lesser gods, it's above these archons and demiurges, and it's stating here that the one that created mortal people will also return to the source. So the soul was created by God and is a part of union with God that belongs to God. So it's his essence. So in other words, an emanation of God. So we are in God's image. The image of God is the spirit. So the flesh is below the true treasure, that is the spirit, that is the soul. So the immortal soul. Now, there were many Christians that believed when Adam and Eve ate of the apple, they become flesh. And that's when they realized they were naked. So they were clothed in the spirit. So they were in spirit form. There were many different beliefs regarding ancient Christianity, and this text was meant to be read by a diverse audience. Okay, next text. Jesus and Judas discuss a vision. Judas said, "Master, just as you have listened to all of them, now also listen to me, for I have seen a powerful vision." Jesus heard this and laughed, and he said to him, "O 13th demon, why are you so excited? Speak your mind then, and I'll hear you out." So, 13th spirit, 13th God. 13th spirit being, as everyone's a spirit, the spirit within. So Jesus seeing beyond the flesh, seeing the soul. So the 12 disciples, Judas is the 13th. Now, he also stated in one of the previous texts that each of the disciples had their own star. So we're all a star. So we all have a role to play. We all have the ability to light up the world. We are all, in essence, the light, and carry within us the light that is the soul. All right. Judas said to him, "I have seen myself in the vision as the 12 disciples were stoning me and treating me harshly. And I also came to the place that, bits missing, after you, I saw a house, bits missing, and my eyes could not grasp its dimensions. Important people moved around it. That house had a thatched roof, and within the house there was a crowd. It's missing. Master, let me also come in with these people." Jesus answered and said, "Your star has deceived you, Judas. Further, no person of mortal birth is worthy to go into the house you have seen. That place is kept for the saints, where sun and moon will not rule, nor the day, but they will stand there always in the eternal realm with the holy angels. Look, I have told you the mysteries of the kingdom, and I have taught you the error of the stars, and, bits missing, send, bits missing, on the 12 realms." Now Judas is stating that after the disciples have treated him harshly and stoned him, he's witnessed heaven. So he's witnessed his soul leaving this flesh or body behind. And in the heavens, he's witnessed the great people, so the prophets and those who have deemed worthy to return to God. So he's witnessed the crowd that has returned to God. So in other words, all the souls of people. He's also witnessed Christ there. He's asking to be able to come with these people, so to be rejoined with God. Jesus is stating that his own vision has deceived him, that it's his own interpretations that he's now following. So Jesus is stating that no person here of mortal birth is worthy of the pleroma. So not the flesh. So it's the spirit that has always existed that belongs to the pleroma. Now, here he's stating that the sun and moon do not rule here, as is the essence of everything. So it's the spiritual plane itself that is beyond all laws of physics in this limited physical plane. Now, he's stating that one day he will be in this eternal realm along with the angels, as will everyone. Now, he's stating here that he's told Judas the secrets of the kingdom, the Gnosis, but still he's not able to comprehend it. Jesus states that Judas has not just seen his own death and his own fate of hatred and persecution towards him, but because his vision has led him astray, he's not able to see the bigger picture, that this hate and persecution will also be done towards those who truly understand Jesus, and this holy generation is the Gnostic Christians, other Gnostics. Now, Jesus states that no mortal can enter heaven, meaning that only the soul that is immortal can return to its source or place of origin, that no one that is mortal has seen God, no one that is mortal has seen heaven. Only the soul that is immortal has witnessed God and the pleroma. Now, the meaning of to transcend beyond the beings that fashion this world in the spirit, meaning those who stole the spirit essence and who blew it into the body, so being Yadabaoth, and the evil archons that created the flesh, so meaning to ascend beyond the lesser beings, so to ascend beyond the archons, to return to pleroma, to the realm above all the lesser realms, so to return to the highest realm out of all highest realms, so to be in union with God. Let's get to the next chapter. Judas asked about his own fate. Judas said, "Master, is it possible that my seed is subject to the rulers?" So, meaning that, is it possible that he's under the influence of the demonic rulers, being the archons and Yadabaoth? Jesus answered and said to him, "Come, that I may," bits missing, "you that," bits missing. "But you'll go through a great deal of grief when you see the kingdom and its entire generation," so the beings that make up the pleroma, and return to the pleroma, the kingdom of God. When Judas heard these things, he said to him, "What advantage is there for me, since you have set me apart from that generation?" Jesus answered and said, "You will be the 13th. And you will be cursed by the other generations, but eventually you will rule over them. In the last days, they will," bits missing, "up to the holy generation." Now here we have Jesus stating to Judas that Judas will suffer much before ascending to heaven. And Judas asked Jesus, what good will it be if he's separated from the other generations? Jesus says that he will rule over them, meaning that there's different levels of heaven. Those who don't understand the full mysteries or the gnosis, they might reach heaven, but they won't go to the highest planes, to which Judas will rule over those lower planes. He's stating that these ones who will curse him might be saved and return to the pleroma, but because their hatred blinded them and thus they were not able to understand the full mysteries, Judas will rule over that generation. So here's the meaning of this text. So the belief was there were many levels of heaven. Many Gnostics believe that many Christians would also be saved or attain salvation, but an uncertain form or in the lower levels of heaven. Now, this means that the higher levels are reserved for Gnostics, the holy generations that rule over the lower generations, so ruling over the lower planes. So those in the higher planes are the ones who have understood the Gnosis, being the Gnostic Christians. Okay, so let's get to the next text. Jesus teaches Judas about the divine and the universe. Jesus said, "Come, that I may teach you about the things," it's missing, that no person will see, for there is a great and infinite realm, whose dimensions no angelic generation could see, in which is the great invisible spirit, which no eye of an angel has seen, no thought of the mind has grasped, nor was it called by name. Now, this is in response to Jesus stating that no human eye has seen God. No angelic angel has seen God, as God is beyond all the angels and this whole entire realm. God is ultimately everything, as everything derived from this great invisible spirit that is God. Let's continue. Now, when he states, nor was it called by a name, this means that God hasn't got a name. If it has a name, it was created, or it was given. So God itself was only in response recognized as the Father. So the Father of all. So it has no beginning. It has no end. God has always been and always will be. So nothing exists outside the mind of God. So God is beyond mere human comprehension. All right. And a cloud of light appeared in that place, and he said, let an angel come into existence as my attendant. And a great angel, the self-generated God of light, came from the cloud. 4 more angels came into existence because of him from another cloud, and they served as attendants for the angelic self-generated, and the self-generated said, let Adamus come into existence, and the emanation came to be. And he created the first luminary to rule over him, and he said, let angels come into existence for adoration of him. And 10,000s without number came to be, and he said, let an eternal being of light come into existence, and he came to be. He established the second luminary to rule over him, with 10,000s of angels without number for adoration. This is how he created the rest of the eternal beings of light, and he made them rule over them. And he created for them 10,000s of angels without number for assistance. So, being emanations of God. So, the aeons. So you have realms of heaven being generated by God, and each realm would be in subservience to another realm that is higher than that realm. So here we have God generating from itself. So you can't create something from nothing. Now, this being called Adamus is similar to Adam, this being the spirit before Adam in flesh. So being that of humanity. So the essence of humanity being before the flesh, meaning that us as souls had always existed as aeons and as angelic beings in union with God. Now, in regards to the incorruptible generation, this is in regards to the generations of Seth. So this being the Gnostics. So the incorruptible ones, the pure ones. So the good men and women, the good Christians, those who follow and understand the teachings of Jesus. So here we have the esoteric symbolism within this text. Here's the next text. Animus, luminaries, heavens, firmaments. Animus was in the first cloud of light, which no angel could see among all those who are called God. And he, it's missing, that, it's missing, after the image, more bits missing, and after the likeness of his angel, he revealed the incorruptible generation of Seth to have 12 luminaries, 24, it's missing. We'll stop here for now. Now, Adamus, being in the first cloud of light, being in the image of God, so being humanity, beyond gender. Now here, we not only have this, but in regards to the aeons also being gods, us humans also being gods, lesser gods. Now here we have Adamus being the first spirit of man the angels are meant to serve under. So let's continue. And in regards to the generations of Seth, this is the generations of the Gnostics. Alright, he revealed 72 luminaries in the incorruptible generation by the will of the Spirit. The 72 luminaries in turn revealed 360 luminaries in the incorruptible generation by the will of the Spirit, so that their number would be 5 of each. Their Father consists of the 12 eternal beings of the 12 luminaries, and for each eternal being there are 6 heavens, so that there are 72 heavens for each of the 72 luminaries, just for the 72 luminaries, and for each of them 5 firmaments, in order that there might be 360 firmaments. They were given authority and a great angelic host without number, for honour and adoration, and in addition virgin spirits as well, for honour and adoration of all the eternal beings and the heavens and their firmaments. Now in regards to the firmaments, this is all in reference to the zodiac and astrology, so being the universe, the planets, the stars, so the light bringers of the world, so in regards to humanity. Now this is also in response to emanations of God, and being higher levels of heaven and lower levels of heaven, each being hosted by its own archon or ruler. So here we have them all being in adoration or in worship of the Father, so being in union with the Father, so in union with God. Now, outside of the luminaries in this text would be our world, so in regards to corruption outside of God. So in essence, though nothing exists outside of God, this is a union that means the good is God, and what is in darkness is ignorance and outside of God. So being not pure, being corrupted, being tainted, having a fall. So this is in regards to this text. So above the universe in this material realm is the heavens, and above these heavens is the true heaven, being the Paroma and God. Okay. Cosmos, chaos, underworld. Now, the multitude of those immortal beings is called cosmos, that is corruption, through the Father and the 72 luminaries with the self-generation and his 72 eternal beings. There the first human appeared with his incorruptible powers. The eternal being that appeared with his generation, the one in whom are the cloud of knowledge, and the angel is called El. Bits missing. Realm. More bits missing. After these things, bits missing, said, let 12 angels come into existence to rule over chaos and the underworld. And look, from the cloud an angel appeared, whose face blazed with fire, and whose countenance was fouled with blood. His name was Nebro, which is interpreted as rebel, but others name him Yarbaoth. And another angel, Suckler, also came from the cloud. So Nebru created 6 angels with Suckler to be attendants, and these produced 12 angels in the heavens, and each one received a share in the heavens. So here being outside of God. So what's outside of the firmaments being Yada-Baoth. So the lower realms of heaven being the false heaven and being the material world of corruption. So here we have something out of union with God. So Yada-Baoth can also be symbolic for one's own ego, one's own out of balance in nature and not being in union with nature, not being in union with God. Not only this, but this text states that El created the other gods, stating that El is the father of these other gods, being lesser gods, and El has a father above him. So being the God of the Jews, being an angelic being that is being worshipped, so a lesser god. So here, this tradition will be a remembrance of Yahweh being a son of El. So here we have offshoots of El Elyon being in union for a supreme God. So here we have variations of Gnosticism in application in this text. Now, we had other variations of Gnostics that believed Yada-Baoth was the father of Yahweh. Now, with regards to Gnosticism or Gnostic Christianity, there were many different forms of Gnostic Christianity, and all different variations of Gnostic Christianity shared and read each other's writings, so thus to be read by a diverse audience. Rulers and angels. And the 12 rulers taught to the 12 angels, let each of you, bits missing, and let them, more bits missing, generation, more bits missing, 5 angels. The first is Seth, who is called Christ. The second is Hamamathalf, who is, bits missing. The third is Galea. The fourth is Yobel. The fifth is Adonios. These are the 5 who ruled over the underworld and first over chaos. Now, many ancient Gnostic Christians and some Christians in general regarded Seth and even Enoch as a Christ, being a son of man, and even Moses. Now, in regards to this, Seth in Gnosticism was regarded to being the father or ancestor of all Gnostic Christians, especially in Sethian Gnosticism. Now, the generation of Seth being ones who remember the knowledge of the true God, so who remember that Yada-Baoth is not the true God, but rather an evil being, a corrupted being that wants to be God. So we have many light bringers, people who have been Christ-like that have walked this earth. Okay, next text. The creation of humanity. Then Sakla said to his angels, let's create a human being after the likeness and after the image. They formed Adam and his partner Eve, who is in the cloud called Zoe. So Eve being in the cloud being called life. So here we have Eve being the life giver. Now, Sakla being the fool is the one who creates humans as a result to copy the image of humanity, being the first man, so something above him, and thus he fashioned something lesser than him and corrupted. So let's continue. For all the generations seek him under this name, but each of them calls her with their own names. Now, Sakla did not command, bits missing, except, more bits missing, the generations, more bits missing, this, more bits missing, and the ruler said to him, your life is extended for a long time along with your children. So this is either El or Sakla or even Yada-Baoth stating this to Adam. Here we have different variations of Gnosticism again. So here we have again with El being one of the gods, but nowhere near the hierarchy of the supreme God. He's not even close. So in turn, he tries to fashion something superior than him and creates lesser beings in order to also serve him. And in turn, these beings fashion Yadabaoth and in turn fashion us humans. So they in turn are not as pure. So thus these lesser beings were meant to serve us, and thus these beings are trying to replicate something above them to serve them. Okay, next one. Jesus and Judas discussed the destiny of Adam and humanity. Judas said to Jesus, "What advantage is there for a human being to live?" Jesus said, "Why are you concerned about this, that Adam, along with his generation, has received the length of his life with a designated period of time, in the place where he has received his kingdom, with a designated period of time, with his ruler?" Judas said to Jesus, "Does the human spirit die?" Jesus said, "This is the reason why God commanded Michael to give the spirits of people to them on loan for adoration. But the Great One commanded Gabriel to give spirits to the great generation without a king, the spirit and the soul, therefore the rest of the souls." The final bit's missing. Now in regards to this meaning that the soul is eternal, and that Jesus is stating that some souls are sent here for a limited time to worship and to bring light to this world, others for a longer extended time. Others have to suffer in order to find gnosis and to bring about light to the world and their own inner world. Now, this is with regards to gnosis, so knowledge of the true high God, knowledge of the spirit within that is eternal, to recognize the divinity within you and the divinity all around you. So the divinity of all life, the soul within all life and within all humans. So meaning that we are all one but many. So a generation without a master, meaning that we are above the gods, that in turn the gods and angels serve us as we become in union with God. In regards to the spirit leaves the body, to which is the divine spark, that is the soul. So this is our essence or connection to God. This is our shred of divinity that is within all humans. This is why we are more intelligent. This is why the lesser gods wanted to have us serve them as they feared us. So in the Gospel of Philip it states that we create gods but yet we serve them. So not all Gnostics took these texts literally, but symbolically. In regards to the spirit leaving the body, this is the divine spark that lives on forever. This is our true essence, our divinity. That means that we are all divine beings. Now, this means that it's the soul that returns to its place of origins. So we are the generation that has no ruler. So we become above the said archons, above the lesser beings, above this dimensional universe. So we transcend above it. We become the source itself. We become in union with it. So this meaning that we are gods, but also one with God and in God's image, so emanations of God. So for a period of time being sent here on earth, eventually we return to the source. So we ascend to higher realms. So we bring about higher realms within the lower realms. So higher shreds of consciousness within our divine minds that we manifest here on earth. So we create heaven, we can create hell. So our will we manifest. So many humans are not aware of what lies within them. They're not aware of their true essence, their true power, what a human being is actually meant to be. So having humanity, being in union with God, so in acts of love, harmony, peace and compassion, seeking higher levels of experience, seeking spiritual knowledge and union with God. and union with each other. Okay. Jesus discusses the destruction of the wicked with Judas and others. Start missing. Light. More bits missing. Around. More bits missing. Spirit within you, which you have made to dwell in this flesh among the generations of angels. But God caused knowledge to be granted to Adam and those who are with him, so that the kings of the chaos and the underworld might not dominate them. Judas said to Jesus, "Then, what will those generations do?" Jesus said, "I tell you the truth. The stars above all bring matters to their end. When Sackler completes his time designated for him, their first star will shine with the generations, and they will bring to completion what has been mentioned. Then they will do immoral things in my name and slay their children. And they will," more bits missing, "and," more bits missing, "in my name, and your star will rule over the 13th eternal realm." And afterward, Jesus laughed. Judas said, "Master, why are you laughing at us?" Jesus answered and said, "I'm not laughing at you, but rather at the errors of the stars, because these 6 stars wander around with these 5 warriors, and all of them will be destroyed with their creatures." Here we have these lesser beings creating outer union with God, so they have a limited time. So a limited time to rule. So Christ is sent to get rid of them. Now, here we have them wanting to rule over us. So God gave knowledge to Adam and to Eve. So knowledge of the God that is above them. So the knowledge of the true high God, of the invisible spirit, of the true man. So of what they are an emanation of, or a copy of. Now, those who are the children of Suckless are those who are caught in ignorance, those without gnosis, those who enact the will of the dark ones, those without a soul. Now, many Gnostic Christians believe that many evil people on this world were products of Yadabaoth and the Demiurge, or even Suckler or Suckless, and that these beings would simply vanish and turn into dust, thus they didn't actually have a soul. One reason why Jesus is laughing at his disciples is he's actually laughing at their ignorance. So he's laughing at the ignorance of them not able to comprehend what he's saying to them. Now, here he's stating that an age will come to completion. So an age of these gods will end. So it will be an age of man. Humanity will rule over this chaos that was in turn created by these lesser beings. That in turn will be made to serve us. They'll be forgotten and they will die off. So Jesus here is laughing at how these beings will come to destruction and how he's been sent to get rid of them and how their time is up. Okay. Jesus speaks of the baptized and of Judas's act of turning him in. Judas said to Jesus, "Those who have been baptized in your name, then what will they do?" Jesus said, "I tell you the truth. This baptism," it's missing, "in my name," more bits missing, "to me, I tell you the truth. Judas, those who bring sacrifices to Suckler," bits missing, "God," more bits missing, "everything evil. But you exceed all of them. You will exceed all of them. For you will sacrifice the man who bears me." So meaning that he will be the one who delivers him to authorities that will sacrifice the flesh. So meaning that this is the will of God for him to return to the pleroma. So, in turn, the archons and the demiurge and Sackler will think they have defeated Christ, but in turn, they enact their own destruction. So, those who cause chaos in these names of these false gods will ultimately bring about their own destruction as they destroy themselves. So the generations of the offsprings of Yadabaoth, of sucklers and the evil angels, in turn will destroy themselves. So they launch war on each other. So in ignorance of their true belonging. So in ignorance of God, in ignorance of the true high God, ignorance of love, ignorance of compassion, and ignorance of the spirit and the soul within. Now, Jesus is also stating that those who are baptized in his name are superior to the other humans. Now, he's also stating that Judas will be superior to them because he sacrifices the temporary flesh that Jesus has been stuck in. So Jesus' viewing the flesh as corrupt. So, again, we have variations of different groups of Gnosticism that would have different interpretations of this text. So there were even Gnostic Christians that believed that Jesus didn't have a body, and thus he was a spirit. Now, there were others that believed he did have a flesh, as in regards to this. There were Gnostics that believed he was a regular human. So, let's continue. Okay. Already your horn has been lifted up, and your anger has flared up, and your star has burnt brightly, and your heart has grown strong. I tell you the truth, your last days. Bits missing, become. Bits missing, grieve. More bits missing. The ruler, since he will be overthrown, and the image of the great generation of Adam will be magnified. For before the heaven, the earth, and the angels, that generation from the eternal realms exist. Look, you have been informed of everything. Lift up your eyes and behold the cloud and the light that is within it, and the stars that are circling it. And the star that leads the way is your star. So this meaning that Judas will be the star that leads others towards the true higher realms. So Judas is the one leading them to Christ and God. So he himself has been deified by Jesus. So Jesus has made him an aeon, has made him a god, has given him a task that is in response to his reward for the grief and persecution that he will suffer, and a reward out of forgiveness. Okay, transfiguration. Judas lifted up his eyes and beheld the cloud of light, and he entered it. Those who were standing on the ground heard a voice coming from the cloud and saying, bits missing, great generation. More bits missing, image. Bits missing, and. So here we have Judas seeing for himself what Christ is describing. So he's having a vision. Conclusion. Judas turns Jesus in. Start missing. Now, their high priest murmured because he had stepped into the guest room for his prayer. But some scholars were there watching closely in order to lay hold of him during the prayer, for they were afraid of the people, since he was regarded by them all as a prophet. And they came over to Judas and said to him, what are you doing in this place? You are Jesus' disciple. He answered them in accordance with their wish, and Judas received some money and handed him over to them. Thus ends the Gospel of Judas. So here we have Judas being told by Christ to hand him over, or Christ knowing that he's going to hand him over and stating that he'll be forgiven. And here Judas says exactly what the high priest want, and is given money and hands over Jesus. in the Gospel of John, Jesus goes up to the soldiers and Judas and states that I am Jesus, arrest me and leave the others be. Now, it's possible that Jesus tasked Judas with handing him over to spare the disciples' lives and the children that he rescued in the temple in Matthew 21:12. This is one reason he states to the Pharisees and Sadducees that did they have to come out with swords and clubs to arrest him as if he was a pirate like them, because he was in the temple for days preaching and they did not touch him. Now, in regards to this is why I believe Jesus tasked Judas with handing him over to spare the lives of his disciples. And it could have also been that Judas was captured by the priest and in desperation handed over Jesus. It's possible that he also received a bribe and took some money and then felt guilty and killed himself. Now, it's also even possible that Judas himself felt bad because he believed that if he handed Jesus over, that Jesus would have to take out all the Romans and bring about the kingdom of God. And thus he found out that this was not what Jesus was about and realized he betrayed a friend and took his own life. So we have many different interpretations of understanding this text. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe as it helps the channel grow, and leave a comment and leave any suggestions on videos or topics you would like to see discussed. Peace and love, lots of light and lots of gnosis.